Be sure to like and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Also, click the bell icon to be notified when we upload new videos.
Have you ever played for a wedding or religious service and the minister, priest, or wedding coordinator turned to you and mouthed the words, "Play something," or "Keep playing," and you had nothing planned to play? Or have you ever played for the processional and the bride was extremely late, starting down the aisle, or walked really, really slowly, and you ran out of music? Or have you performed with an ensemble and the leader motions to you to take a solo, and suddenly you have to come up with music and fast, and you don't know what to do? Well, you can't just sit there and look like a deer caught in the headlights. You've got to come up with something in these situations, and you've got to come up with it fast, and it's got to be really good. Welcome to my office and my studio. I'm Roos, and the subject of today's workshop is Harp Noodling. Maybe you want to call this improvising, but it's a specific kind of improvisation where you fill in the gaps of silence and extend beyond what's already on your program to play. So, how do you decide what to do at a moment's notice? The secret is you plan for it. You create your noodles, that's the direction of your improvisations, before the gig with your musical pasta machine, better known as your harp, and then you cook them up and serve them at the gig. That's what we're going to do today. We're going to create some plans to our improvisations, just in case we happen to need them. This isn't memorization. This is deciding how to take the first steps to playing off the cuff in certain situations where you anticipate that you might need to fill in for extra music at your performance. When you can play at a moment's notice, you will look like you are a magician, not a musician. And isn't that the purpose, anyways, to wow your clients and your audience with amazing musical feats? It's easy. You don't need to be a virtuoso or have years of experience performing to create these feats of the imagination. I'll be referring to the handouts, and then you'll get a chance with your harp to try some experimentation. We'll be playing in the key of G, no crazy retuning needed. First, you must start with the right mental headset. Let go of the need to be perfect. Noodling is like brainstorming at the harp. You know what brainstorming is. You just come up with as many ideas as possible within a set period of time without allowing self-criticism to hamper your creativity. Embrace the accident. If you think you made a mistake while you're playing, think again. You really just have an opportunity to do something creative, to brainstorm at the harp. I realized this many years ago when I was playing Scarborough Fair at a restaurant gig one time. I played my memorized arrangement, but somewhere in the middle of it, I got lost. So lost that I just decided to end the song. Normally, I find a convenient place to play a tonic chord. That's a chord based on the first note of the scale I'm in. But I was in the Dorian mode, and I didn't realize this at the time, so I played a bunch of chords and then finally found the tonic and then happily ended the song. After that, I figured it was time to take a well-deserved break, and as I got up from the harp, one of the dining guests approached me and said, "I really like the way you ended Scarborough Fair." I have no idea what I actually did, and I couldn't repeat that chord progression if I tried. That was brainstorming at its finest. All it took was an ounce of creativity and an attitude to happily welcome that creative spark and be open to it. Many musicians approach improvisation with trepidation. It can feel scary going off the page or messing around with a memorized arrangement. When we are learning, we're so conditioned to follow the rules. Noodling is your chance to wander off the beaten track and explore new territory, to color outside the lines. Build just 5 minutes of noodling practice into your regular practice, and you'll start craving a chance to explore. You'll look at those arrangements that are challenging to play and begin testing ways that you can riff off of them, have fun with them, and make them your very own. Here is the big reward. When you begin noodling, you begin to develop your own style. People will begin to know your playing by how you flavor your music. For instance, if you find that you just love those seventh chords and you want to add them at every chance you get, bravo! Yes, return to your old favorite chords, your favorite rhythms and melodic phrases again and again. Just like a chef using their favorite go-to spices every time they cook up a sauce. You know that Chef Bobby Flay, who loves to use chilies. You're guaranteed that no matter what he's cooking up, even if it's dessert, he's using chilies. It's his signature, his style. We add our own unique personality in our music by how we spice it up, how we deviate from expectations. In this workshop, I'll be showing you how to use your noodle to create an interesting musical fill. Let's turn to the handy-dandy Harp Noodle recipe for preparing our noodles for gigs. Download the worksheet, and the other worksheets too. Have your harp tuned to G at your side, and we'll follow along. I'll join in with you with my own pasta machine, my triplet Eclipse harp. I've now got my harp pasta machine in front of me now and all ready to go. And I've also got the Harp Noodle recipe in front of me as well. So what I'd like to do is ensure that you have downloaded and are taking a look at both the unmarked and the marked version of Pachelbel's Canon in the key of G, not D. And this was generously provided by Sylvia Woods with her permission. It's really just the first page of a 4-page arrangement that she has written. And this is really all we need for our noodling session here. And you're welcome to compare both of these so that you can see where we're going. I'm just going to gloss over the noodle recipe because otherwise we will be here all day long going through the whole thing. I know you can read through it. And we've already talked about the equipment needed in my introduction and also the ingredients. So if you're lacking in music theory knowledge or skills for harp technique, and you don't really have much of a repertoire at this point in time, that's okay. Follow along, and eventually you'll be able to begin this creative process. We have 3 directions here, and you can actually look at, mix things up within these directions. I'm getting these all set up on my music stand so that I can follow along with you, or you can follow along with me, actually. And you can do these in different orders. This is a suggested order, the bullet points underneath. For instance, the very first one we're talking about is the tune Even Worthy of Noodling. And so some of the criteria is already here, but that last bullet point, really, if it's got too many accidentals and key changes and tempo, time signature changes, in there, just pass on it. It's really okay. So you'll want to, this is what I do very often with my students, I actually do it myself, is clapping along and really embodying the rhythm into me. If you're not into clapping, tapping your foot, something that gets more than just making reading rhythm and a brain activity just all in your head, but actually getting the body involved, because it will help you when you're noodling to embody that rhythm. Figure out the chord progression. If you take a look at the marked version, there's your chord progression right there. The first two lines. And just take a look at the left hand, and particularly you can see the bass notes and see where we're going with those. They repeat through the whole piece, which is why I wanted to use this as an example, but because it's not in the key of D, you may not be so familiar with it. And I've written those out in the first two lines. And then the next thing you'll want to do is sight read the melody note or the melody line, or if you have it memorized, play just the melody memorized while rolling chords only on the downbeats. If something doesn't sound right, you can change it to what your ear likes. Then if that's easy enough and you are ready to graduate onto playing chords within the measures, do that as well. So when you record this piece, make sure you're recording it slowly enough. Slow, like slow motion slow, so that it's really even and so that you're not making any mistakes. And since you are, since you're over there and you want to make this a practice, this workshop, of course, I'm going to let you play along with me. And I'm going to take this very slowly. What I'd like you to do, you have your chord progression there. What I'd like you to do is just play the chords where you see them. I will be playing, in the first line I'll play both the right and left hand, but then after that I'm only playing the right hand. And I'm going to play it slowly enough for you to follow along. And then I'd like you to revisit this workshop, because you can always play it again, practice it again. Or you can record yourself doing it, which is really the best way to go about it, and do this practice on your own, so that you're free to just listen and noodle along without going, oh, what's that melody note again? Or where am I? It sort of frees you up. So here we go. This is Canon, Pachelbel's Canon in G. left you hanging. I know that. If you were actually playing this for a wedding processional and the wedding party has all approached the altar and is there, or the bride has gotten up there, then you just finish on the tonic chord right there. So, how did you do? Did you find that fun? Play it again. Go back and go back to where I began playing and play along again. What else are you coming up with? Can you think of something else to do? Are you incorporating both hands? Because noodling may not involve playing the melody just by itself. You could just play the chords and that'll work. So we have, I'm going to move on now along this list. And let's go to the second point. Roll out the noodles. So this being our pasta machine, you can think about the pasta roller thing. And listen to recordings of these songs. So if you were not familiar with Canon, download a YouTube of a chamber group playing this piece, or maybe a guitarist playing a solo. Get some different interpretations. If this were a popular song, you would want to record the vocalist that is really well known for singing the song, so that you are playing it, getting all the nuances, like where to really emphasize the downbeat, or where a note might be held extra long and it isn't really indicated in the music. Get those little pieces together, because your audience is going to be familiar with that and they will recognize what you're playing even when you're noodling it. So you'll want to play along again with the recording, play chords on the downbeats, add other chords, still emphasize the downbeat, and you can even put your harp aside and hum along to the tune so that you have it in your head and you know where to pick it up if you needed to. And you would also know where to end it. So let's say you're playing along on Canon, and then you go along into some noodles, and then you get back into playing the piece again. So if you take a look at my example, my marked up example, I show where I'm doing my noodles, and the circled notes would be the only notes that I'm playing in the melody. And then on the last line, I may go back, maybe I'll play just the chords. So I might just play and so on. Or I may incorporate the same left hand, and I may go right back into the piece. So I might have a section that's noodled, and then so that people recognize it, go back into the melody. There's a lot of different ways you can look at this, but what we're doing is extending this piece. So you may forget about sections and use it as a type of a bridge. Memorize the tonic chord of the piece. So as you saw earlier, just a few moments ago, I wasn't going to leave you hanging. I was going to play that tonic chord so that I wouldn't be stuck like I was with Scarborough Fair all those years ago, which was kind of strange and embarrassing, but turned out to be a happy accident. Let's look at the third direction. Pre-cook your pasta to make your noodles ready for consumption. So this is really about getting ready to perform. This is about, okay, I've got it down. I know I'm going to noodle this piece just in case I need it. This is a long wedding mass and I don't know what's going to happen. You may never need to use it, but then you never know. So you want to record your noodles and play them back to ensure that you're on the right track. You might love those seventh chords, but Do they fit in Paul Bell's Canon? Oh, I don't know about that. So here we go. No, not really. I don't know, maybe that B minor didn't sound so bad. But otherwise, nah, I didn't like it. And I sort of had a rocky start too, and it's okay. Because when you are noodling, you make an accident, you know, a little hit a wrong note, and you just keep on going, and that's part of getting this rhythm in your body. And so you'll want to, this is the most important part, this is my favorite part of noodling, learning to develop your peripheral vision. So if I'm playing Canon, here's what I want to do. And I want to encourage you to try this. So as you play, what you want to do is imagine where would the bride be and figure out where you want to look up and where it's convenient to look up. The key is you want to look up when your fingers are on the strings. If you look up or you kind of check your peripheral vision and your hands are off the strings, you've got to look back. You've got to look back at your music and all that other stuff. But if you are simply have your hands on the strings, they're like anchored there, and you'll know where you left off. So here's an example. Where's that bride? So notice I'm like looking all around and my hands come right back again. But each time I looked around, even though my hands did come off the strings, it was while they were still connected to the strings. Practice this. Practice this along with, so while you have your melody, and you can replay what I had played earlier, just practice with your noodles. So you can practice. So I didn't play there were no melody notes there at all. I didn't follow, all I followed was chord progression, and everybody can recognize that in their ear, but I looked around. So the value of that is not just, okay, where's the bride? The value of that is, what if the wedding coordinator or the priest or the rabbi or officiant is trying to get your attention because they want you to play and you were never told to play during the service. And this is something I've heard so many musicians say, oh, the photographers always want to take pictures of me while I have this look on my face. You know, they're so concentrated and looking, you know, and I know I get that face too. It almost looks like an angry face, but I'm concentrating. If you start developing your peripheral vision, and as you're playing, start seeing if you can keep your eyes forward and what's on the side here. Can you actually start looking at over here? because the photographer or the videographer, those people, they're sneaky and they'll stand right over next to you and you can almost feel them standing there. But it's like if you see a camera, you can still, no matter how complicated the piece is, or if you're noodling or wherever you are, if you can just do this and keep playing, the photos, the videos will look lovely. And then once you know they're gone, go back to the concentrated face and forget about it, because it's a lot to think about for however long you're playing, keeping this on your face the whole time. But that's the value of learning to play with peripheral vision. I want to really emphasize to give that a try. So the last thing is, if you've been practicing your piece slowly or your noodles slowly and you know you're going to need to play faster, get out the metronome that I spoke about, the groovy metronome, and get that going and bring it up just an inch faster than where you would normally play it. So that way, when the bride is taking forever to walk down, doing the little baby hesitation steps, then you can pick it up. You can change the rhythm. And when I mean change the rhythm, it's not just play it faster, but maybe dot the rhythm. So, and you can change the rhythm as well. So once she's gotten there, you can slow it down, you can fade it out, you can work with those emotions. To work with emotions, look at bullet point, the second bullet point in that third direction. Go to audible.com. They have great samples. I don't even think you need to be a member. And you can just play back a sample of poetry or prose, the beginning of a book, anything where you have a very emotive reader or narrator, and play along to that and get the cadence of how they're speaking and their emotions. So what this is going to do is it will get you to stop looking just at the page and having a bubble around you, and it will get you to listening outside of yourself. What is that person doing? You don't have to look, but what is that person doing and saying, and how are they saying it? And let your harp music follow along. So oftentimes I'm asked to play behind the vowels, and let's say if somebody wanted me to play Canon behind the vowels, so you soften it and you give it this emotional value, because here they are at this tender moment and they're exchanging their vows. And you want your noodles to reflect that. So if a couple says, I really, really love the song Unchained Melody, can you play that behind our vows? Yeah. Well, you don't have to stick to any music. Just get the chord progression. Just hint at the melody line. And they'll hear it, but it will sound ethereal. And you'll be a magician, not just a musician. If you feel clueless as to where to start with your noodles, I'm going to just give you some ideas. I want you to try them individually. So each one of them, try these along with the Pachelbel's Canon in G, and also start experimenting with other songs that you have. Don't be afraid, because your ear will tell you when it's wrong. Otherwise, it's probably okay. So you can start with just the bass chords. You can do this very low. And then, but you might find that that's too grumbly. So then, okay, try this here. Double it up in your right hand. Oh, let me get in the right notes. And do this throughout the example when you're playing along with the right hand recording. Get used to that and the sound of it. Try fifths. Thirds. Sounds a little weird, huh? Maybe you might not want to do that everywhere. Make note of where it sounds kind of funky. Leave that out. 3-note chords. Inversions. Okay, so that's my that is my second inversion G chord. And you can mix them up. So here's a tonic of D, or the root, sorry. Root of E minor. Maybe I'll do a first inversion of the B minor. So it gives it another kind of flavor. So you can start messing around with those. You could do 4-note chords that way. And you'll notice now they take longer. So maybe you only want to play the 4-note chords on the downbeat. And let those notes really ring. Here's another thing you can do. Sounds complicated? What I'm doing is I'm basing my melody notes on the chord progression. I started on G, I ended on G in there. Here's D. Yeah, I added this as a passing tone. So you can individualize this, leave off the chords, start messing around with what you can do with the melody within that chord progression. Maybe you can record yourself playing both the right and left hand of this arrangement, and then start messing with the melody. See what you can do that's going to fit with the chords that you played and play along with that. So you're not confined to just the chords. You can start messing with the melody too. What else can you do? You can jump octaves. You can start here. I'm just climbing up. Use your whole harp when you're doing this. Allow yourself that breath of trying that. But each time, so the key is to really be able to experiment them. Take one kind of way of noodling, say fifths, do it all the way through. Did you like it? Didn't you like it? Would you change a chord? And then you can also try the seventh chord idea, those lovely seventh chords. Do they work? Maybe not on this. That's not so bad. I kind of like the B minor. So then you could start going, okay, let's see if it'll work. Now the B minor. All right, so this is how you work this. And I encourage you to record, just let your recording device run while you're noodling. Because you'll listen back and go, oh, I like that, I like that, I like that. And make a mental note of it. You don't have to write it down. This isn't about writing this down, because this is just sort of planning your improvisations. Start sticking in your head, ooh, I remember that when I was practicing, I really liked the seventh chord on the B minor. So, and then incorporate that when you're playing fifths, for instance, to go through it. And this is how we color outside the lines. So give this a try and let me know how it goes for you. So, did you have fun? Thank you so much for joining me today. I'm Ann Roos, and you can go to my website at harpistannroos.com to find out more about me and to learn about my fun harp lessons. Are you playing at weddings? I invite you to check out my book, The Musician's Guide to Brides, How to Make Money Playing at Weddings. It isn't quite updated for our post-pandemic world, but there's a load of basic information you can use whether you're just starting your business and have yet to play your very first wedding, or whether you're in need of some help in building a contract or just dealing with bridezillas. Of course, I've also got a number of recordings available for purchase or download, and you can check them out at Amazon or at Apple Music or anywhere you download music on the internet. I've got a new recording coming out at the beginning of the new year. It's flute and harp, and it is a new age album. And if you'd like to learn more about it, you can sign up for my newsletter, and my email list at my website. I also perform live streams. I started doing that during the pandemic and during lockdowns, and I'm still doing it. I have a faithful little group of people who check in and have a lot of fun and chat about them, and it's really fun. And I invite you to take a listen and join the tribe. You can go to my website to see my upcoming live stream schedule. And you can watch them all for free, and even replays of old ones, by becoming a member and subscribing at patreon.com/harpistannroos. Again, I'm so glad that you joined me. I welcome your questions. I welcome your feedback. And I hope you have a lot of fun with this material. Wishing you all happy harping.